about me. Okay, so I'm going to jump on. I'm doing this as to show you an idea. We'll talk about it a little bit afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share, and then I am going to jump over. 1 second, let me just get that set up again. One didn't have it open. Lovely. Yeah, okay, lovely. So I'm going to screen share and jump over to Google Earth. Here we go. We're on Google Earth now. And what I'm going to do in Google Earth is I'm going to click on this button here, and I'm going to take you off to see something. Now, I was trying to think what I'm going to present you. Now, we're going to do an activity. So you've got to listen carefully, guys. I'm going to do a little presentation just so you know a few things about me. So I'm going to take you off to Stamford Bridge. Stamford Bridge is the home of Chelsea Football Club. Okay? And I'll tell you about this activity afterwards, all right? So all you need to do is listen. So here we are. We're at Stamford Bridge. So I'm using Google Earth to visit Stamford Bridge. We got a 2D view and a 3D view. So hopefully now you can see. And I'm just going to tell you a few things about Stamford Bridge, okay? So I'm a Chelsea supporter. Okay, Chelsea play at Stamford Bridge. I first went to Stamford Bridge in 1972. So I was only 7 years old. I went with my brother and my dad. And I was very small at the time, only 7, of course. There were 51,000 people in the stadium, and I didn't see literally anything. I must have seen about 20 seconds of the whole game. But from that moment on, I was a Chelsea supporter, and I've supported Chelsea ever since. Chelsea is actually owned by a Russian oligarch called Roman Abramovich. And if we look at the stadium, then we've got here a hotel, you've got 2 hotels there here, and on this side we've actually got a museum. So it's quite an impressive stadium. And there's a couple of curious things about Chelsea. Okay, created in 1905. The first thing is that actually it's the team that's the nearest to the centre of London. So Chelsea is in the region, and you can see here's the River Thames. Okay, and so Chelsea is actually really very, very close to the River Thames. It's very close to the centre of London, but it's in Fulham. It's not in Chelsea. They're called Chelsea, and Chelsea is actually the area here. But the reason that it was called Chelsea was because there was already a football club called Fulham. They couldn't call themselves Fulham because there was already a football club called Fulham that already existed. And if you look over here, you can see the Fulham Stadium right on the River Thames. So they didn't call themselves Fulham, they called themselves Chelsea. Now the game that I went to, the first game of the season, Chelsea won that match 4-0. They played Leeds United. Now I'm just going to come back into 3D view so we can have a little look around the stadium. You'll see that the District line, train line, is right next to the stadium. Okay, so it's right alongside the District line. And as we come round here, and you can see these 2 hotels here in front of us. Okay, I'm just going to show you something. I am a season ticket holder at Chelsea. That means that I go to all of the games, and I thought it'd be interesting just to show you where I come into the ground. So I'm going to take this little man and I'm going to drop him down onto the actual stadium. Woof! And in we come, and there it is. This is how I enter the stadium to come and see Chelsea. Me and my brother, we come into the ground and we walk up here, and then we go for a beer. Okay, so now you know a little bit about me. You know that I'm crazy about football. I still play football. Now I'm going to see whether or not you was actually following me. Okay, so this would be a very typical type of lesson that I will do. I'll talk more about it afterwards. Okay, I'm going to show you a brilliant website now. Maybe, in fact, I'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute. But this website is certainly one of the most popular websites for learning English. It's called WordWall, and I'm going to click here on my activities, and I've already created an activity for you. Okay, and the activity is of course about Chelsea. I'm going to see whether or not you were listening, and all you need to do in this activity, guys, I'm just really going to show you it, is that let me just make sure that I'm going to click on new share. I'm just going to make sure you can listen to the sound. You just need to drag the right word in. So for example, Chelsea's colour is blue. Chelsea's stadium is Stamford Bridge, etc. Okay, I'm going to just check and see whether or not you were listening to me. So this is a great way. Well, we'll talk about the activity after, and we'll talk about what this all means. Okay, obviously this website can be used, for example, on a mobile as well, because obviously our theme of our first part is mobiles. But I'll come to that in a minute. Set assignment. Okay, I'm just going to click on set assignment. I'm going to click on start. The only thing I need to do is copy that link. And I'm going to come back, I'm going to stop sharing, and in the chat window, I'm going to share a link, and I want you to click on that link and try to do the activity. So this would be a real typical kind of way of maybe presenting yourself at the beginning of a course, but also to get your students to do it, and I'll talk more about it in a minute, okay? So going to paste in the link and just click on that link, and you should be able to do this activity. Okay, I'm hoping it's going to work in China. I doubt if. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because I know sometimes I've worked in China many times, and there are websites that you can't access. So guys in China, you'll have to let me know whether or not you can access that, okay? Because it would be really good if you can. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. When you've finished, can you just write in the window done, so that I know that you're done. While you're playing that, I'm just going to tell you about WordWall, because WordWall is perhaps the most popular technology that I presented in 2020 on my website. So I make videos to show teachers how to use technology. I had 3 million views of my videos last year, and WordWall was one of the most popular. People were going crazy when I shared WordWall, and teachers said to me, "Wow, this is amazing, we can use this, it's so good." And you'll see why in a minute. So just try and do that activity, and when you've done the activity, in the window, in the chat window, can you just write done, so that I know you've done the activity. And I'll just turn off my microphone for 1 second while you do that, all right? And that gives me the chance to drink some of my tea, otherwise I'm going to lose my voice. Okay, brilliant. I can see slowly that you are doing the activity. Okay, we're going to look in more detail at WordWall and at Google Earth in a minute. Actually more in the, yeah. Sorry, Andrew, if the answers were obvious, but I just did this as a demonstration of the activity. Obviously, if you were going to do this in reality, I was just doing this as a bit of fun. I'm just demonstrating a technology to you that's perhaps one of the most popular technologies at the moment for teaching online, okay, for checking understanding. I just made it fun. It wasn't particularly serious activity. I wouldn't be talking about Chelsea. I would have talked about something more serious. Yeah, I'll talk about all that in a minute. Don't worry. Okay, we'll come to that in a minute, all right? So, right, good guys. Let's have a quick look at the technology. Well, just come back. This is just an introduction to me so that you know a little bit about who I am and what I do. Well, in fact, it was just so you know a bit about me, okay? As I said, I will. So if I just jump back, I just want to show you a couple of things. So if we come back onto that technology and we just close the window, okay? And I'm going to come to the results. And you'll get an idea here. One of the brilliant things about this technology is that it tracks the students. Okay, so it tracks what you're doing. And if you look here, you'll see that I'm using this technology all the time. Now, sometimes I train massive groups of teachers. I mean, sometimes even up to 400 or 500 teachers at a time. All right, so I kind of work all over the world, and you'll see, for example, look here, that activity, there were 417 students that did that one, 415 that did that. Okay, and the technology were absolutely brilliant. I use it all the time to check understanding. It really is a great technology, and probably, as I said, in 2020 was the most popular technology on my website. I had literally hundreds of emails from people. Okay, so here I can see that 13 of you so far have done that activity, and if I click here it gives me a breakdown of any answers that you got wrong. As someone said, the answers were obvious. It was just a bit of fun. It was just showing you how you could use this for checking understanding. And if you come down here, it gives me a breakdown of which questions the students got wrong. In fact, you must have been listening to me really carefully, because nearly everyone got the questions right. And I even get a breakdown of, you know, how long it took and who got the answers right, etc. So it's a brilliant technology for quickly checking understanding. And obviously it can be something that we can use on our mobile phones as well, so it doesn't have to be that you're using it on a computer. But we'll be looking more at both of those technologies actually in the second part of today, because I'm going to talk about the flipped classroom. But just before I kind of move in, and as I said, that was just an introduction to me and just sort of setting up a bit of a fun activity so you know a little bit about me. I'm just going to click on stop share. Don't worry, I will come back to that technology. But I just want to tell you a couple of things, okay? I might move you into breakout rooms later on. I'm not sure if I've even got access to the breakout rooms, because don't forget I'm the host. I'm not the host. So actually I can't put you into breakout rooms, because it would have been nice to talk about it. But don't worry, I've got loads of material for you. It's going to be really interactive. Just a couple of things about that technology, okay? Or about what I've done. As I said, I taught your course last year, and when I taught your course, I started my lesson by doing a similar type of activity to that, okay, where I presented myself through a little thing on Google Earth, and then I did an activity to check that the students were understanding. That's what I did in the lesson. Then the homework was for all the students, that's you guys, to go off and to find a place on Google Earth that you wanted to present to the rest of your class. And so everyone, they did this for homework, they prepared something. So it's only a very short activity for homework. Just go onto Google Earth, find something interesting. It might have been your favourite London cafe, it might have been a monument, it might have been a place you'd visited, it might have been where you went for your last holiday. And then in the next lesson, I simply put the students into breakout rooms, because I was the host and I could do that then. And I said, right, okay, I'm going to get you now to present to the rest of your group, so you all get to meet each other. And it was just a really nice activity at the beginning of our course that kind of got the students to meet each other and to find out a little bit about each other. And it worked really, really well, combining Google Earth, and in this case what I was doing was working with Google Earth and WordWall. Okay, so really nice technologies, and I will come back to them in the second class. Okay, just to answer one question for now, the site is free for a certain amount of free activities, but I'll talk more about that in the second part. I'm going to introduce lots of technologies today. Okay, so let's, obviously that was just an intro, so you know a little bit about me. Let's move on to now look at, to have a little discussion about mobile technologies. Okay, that was the first part of today's presentation, and I've got a little bit of a presentation for you, but I'm going to move straight into activities. I'm not going to be, you know, I don't really know how Clyde organises your lesson, but I thought, well, since it's me and what I do is do teacher training, I might as well just make the sessions as hands-on as possible and give you the opportunity to try out some technologies. Okay, so that's really what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to jump over to a little presentation that I've got prepared for you, and let me just click on here. I think it'll bring me over to the right presentation in a moment. Let me come to the one I've got for you. Here it is, Kings 1, lovely. Okay, so we're going to look at mobile technologies today, all right? And what I want to do really is, first of all, is find out a little bit about what you think, what essentially, if we was trying to define what mobile technology is, what it is, before we get into some ideas, yeah, what mobile technology is. I'm going to just do a quick activity with you to kind of get to find out what you think about mobile technology. So I'm just going to do a new share, make sure that you can see. In fact, what I'll do is I'll share my screen. That'll be the easiest thing. I'm going to jump off to Padlet. Now I'm sure you all know Padlet, okay? I've been using Padlet for about 12, 13 years. It used to be called Woolwisher. And I'll show you a couple of things about Padlet in a minute that you might not know, but I'm going to start by just asking you a question. And to do that, I'll do a grid. Okay, it's one of the most popular technologies in fact, in education generally. It's very, very popular, Padlet. I'm going to ask you the question, how Okay, really, how would you, how would you define mobile technology? If you had to explain to me just in a couple of sentences, okay, what mobile technology, how do we define what is mobile technology in terms of learning and teaching and learning, yeah? How do we define it? So is it the use of telephones outside, or smartphones outside of the class? Is it the use of smartphones and tablets outside of the class? Is it the use of smartphones and tablets in all? I just want to get your idea. When you think about mobile learning, what do you think of? So I've just written the question, nothing else. Click on next. It's really easy technology. Click on start posting. Now I'm going to double click on the screen. That's all you need to do. Put your name. So I'm going to write Russell, and then I would write my definition here. Okay, now I'm not going to write a definition because I want you to write your definitions. So all I'm going to do is, and I will show you some advanced features in Padlet. In fact, many years ago, I was even doing a bit of consultancy work for Padlet, so I know this technology really, really well. I'm going to click on stop share, and I'm just going to share the link. Okay, I think the sharing is stuck. The sharing is stuck. Okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but okay. Oh, it might be you might have got a problem with your. Let me just see. Okay, fixed now. Good. Okay, thank you. Right, it's going to happen if you haven't got a very fast connection. I can guarantee it's not my end. I've got a super duper speedy weedy double fast internet connection. It's about 150 megabytes a second, but hopefully, okay. So click on that link, guys, and just double click on the screen, put your name at the top, and then just write for me your definition of what you think is, what do we mean by mobile technologies? Okay, the use of mobiles in education. Obviously, we're not talking generally, we're talking specifically about in education. Just curious to see what you're thinking, okay? And at the same time, I will show you a couple of advanced features in Padlet and some things that you can do with that with the technology. All right. So we're focusing on mobiles. We're thinking about a definition for them. When we're thinking about mobiles, what is it that's special about mobile? Why isn't it just part of technology? Why do we often separate using a computer from a mobile? What is it that's special about them? Okay. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes. Lovely to see your comments. Thank you for sending me the comments and keeping me updated with what's happening. I kind of was, what did you mean? Anyway, good. All right. So just going to give you a couple of minutes to do that, okay? So Padlet used to be called Woolwisher. It's a great way of, if you're doing a collaborative lesson and you want to collect people's answers together and check what people are thinking and do something collaborative, then it's really, really powerful. So again, the sort of technology you could use on a mobile, to be honest with you. I often use Padlet though, either as part of the homework or yeah, mainly I use it for homework, to be honest with you. But if I'm teaching online like this, it's a brilliant technology to quickly get everyone's ideas together in one place. Okay, so I'm gonna have a quick look at what you're writing just to see that this is working and that you are actually doing something. And I can see lots of you are writing on the screen. Okay, distance learning in a flexible way, says Sure. That seems quite good. Jan is saying in a language learning field, most students can use their mobile phones or iPads to learn language. Not bad, Jan. Yeah, not bad at all. Joanna, using iPhones, iPads and other sort of devices. Yeah, but in what way? For learning or blah, blah, blah. Okay, good. So Zaina, using mobiles to learn, that could be used in the class and outside. Nice that you mentioned in the class and outside the class, Zaina. That's very true as well. Okay. Good. So really some nice ideas. Let me just refresh and see if anyone else has put anything else. Okay. In fact, I'm going to delete my one here. Are you sure you want to delete? Yeah, I do want to delete my post because my post is Julie's just starting to write. I've got Andrew simply using devices such as iPhones and iPads to facilitate learning, for example, via apps. Yeah, not bad at all. Good. Yeah. You're all between you. There's some really nice ideas coming onto the screen. Mobile version. I'm not sure what happened there. Right, we got Jan Boa. Mobile technology means we can use it all the. Boya, so I'm waiting for all the right. Okay, good. So nice ideas coming onto the screen. I'm gonna give you a couple more minutes. Yeah, Wenje. You know what I used to. That's you can study without actually being in the classroom. Very true, but of course that's true about normal technology as well. So you're all pretty good with your. Give you a couple more minutes. You're all pretty good with your ideas there. You're not far off at all. but there might be a couple of other things that you need to think about. Okay. So just going to give you a couple more minutes to write up your ideas. So we're just trying to kind of get a definition of what we mean by mobile technologies. Okay. So I can see lots of you kind of throwing up ideas here, using iPads, other small devices to facilitate learning, especially for who don't have computers. Very true, Joanna. That's a really nice point, yeah? And that brings up a really important point there, Joanna, when you're talking that way, okay, about the fact that what it does often deal with is the problem of access, okay? And we have to understand that many people don't have access to technology even now. You know, I've done work in a few countries where people don't have access to a lot of technology, and so the mobile might be their only way. For example, Cuba might be their only way to actually access the internet and to access content. So really nice that you're checking up those ideas. Right, okay, let's stop and have a look at what you've been doing. I know you haven't all finished, but I like this one, Rodrigo. Technology that goes where the user goes. Nice point. That flexibility, that movement thing. Yeah, nice. Good. Okay. Yeah, I like that word flexible, guys. That's a really lovely word. Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, okay. Let's have a right there, guys. Let me screen share. Okay, let me screen share what you've been saying. Let's have a look here. So I'm going to screen share your ideas. So as I said, this is a really nice way of getting people's ideas together. Rodrigo, I really like that point there. All right, so really nice. Really, that flexibility thing, where you go, yeah, that's such a key point to it. Yeah, really nice. Okay, nice point, Andrew, about apps. Andrew, because when you use apps, sometimes you don't even need a connection to the internet. So one of the special things about mobile technologies, as opposed normally to computer apps, is that you don't always need an internet connection. So there are the possibility that you can use many apps and learn specific things on your internet, on your mobile phone, without even actually being connected to the internet. So that's a really nice point. Okay, the flexibility that some of you have mentioned here. Now I'm going to show you something, guys, so just look at the screen for a minute. I know some of you are still writing. Don't worry, I want you to look at the screen. Just watch me a minute. I'm going to show you something that you might not realize. Okay, I'm going to click here on this button here, and I'm going to come down, and I'm now going to allow comments. Okay, so now what I want you to go back, I'm going to click on save. I just want you to go back and just comment on a couple of people's ideas. So I'm just going to say, yes, I agree. The idea that this is essential, okay? The idea that you can learn anywhere is one of the most powerful things about working with mobiles. Is, you know, you could be at the bus stop and you want to get your Quizlet out and you want to study some vocabulary on Quizlet. Or you are, you know, sitting on the train and you suddenly want to listen to perhaps some blogs or some audio some podcasts or some audio recordings that you've downloaded or you've got access to on your app, which is what I do all the time in Polish. So that idea about the flexibility is really common. I'm going to add to Andrew's one. I'm going to say, Andrew, yes, it's important. It is important that sometimes, okay, we don't need an internet connection, okay, and that's one of the big, okay, so I've now commented on two of them. All you do is write a little comment and then click on add. So guys, what I want you to do, because I'm making a key point here, by the way, when you do this, is I want you to go back onto the same Padlet now and just comment on two other people's contributions, just if you agree or disagree, or you might have a question for them. It's exactly the same link. I'll put it back in again. Click on that link again, and I want you to comment on other people's contributions, okay? So what they've said, etc. And just for a quick second, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to turn off my audio. I'm going to drink some more of my tea, all right? Just to keep my voice. Now, I'll keep talking in the background because there's lots of reasons why I'm doing this, okay? Yes, I wanted to get your ideas together. I wanted to get you to focus on what mobile technologies are, okay, which is really important. And some of you have, basically between you all, you've got the perfect answer. The other thing that I want to make a point out, and this is a golden rule, okay? So I said I teach on various master's programs myself. And one of the things is that I always try to build up these golden rules. And one of them is a key one. What do you do with learner generated content? It's so common. I watch many teachers, and they'll get their students to do an activity, which is great, but then they won't use the content of the activity. And what I'm going to show you today is how important it is to make sure that whatever you get the students to generate, you then use it. So what I've done in this activity is that I've forced you not only to, well, I haven't forced you to do anything, but I've suggested that you put up your ideas, and then I've asked you now to read what other people have said. So I'm using the content and then you to comment on it, okay? So always think about what are you going to do with user generated content, and it's one of the things that's really underpins a lot of what we understand about when blended and flipped classroom works, okay? We have to think about the student generated content and what we're going to get the students to do with it, okay? So really important point there. So let me just come back and see what comments you've made. So I'm just going to jump back on. All right, I'll show you a couple of other things about Padlet as well you might not realise. So I can see now, okay, Joanna's there, commented that this is so true, and other people are just agreeing. That's fine. It doesn't have to be anything really profound, because really what I want to make sure is that you are at least reading some of the contributions of the other students, okay? So you can see, I can see that, and it's just a simple little technique. You know, when I do my teacher training, teachers say to me, "Oh, I know Padlet." And I say, "Okay, yeah," and then I show them a few things like, "Oh, I didn't realise you could do that." So, you know, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to demonstrate the point that you can, you know, can encourage students to actually make comments. I'm going to show you another little trick now, guys. I'm sure Clyde has used this trick with you. She will be aware of it because I know that she follows my stuff, and this is something I talk about a lot. Again, guys, if you're watching the screen, let me just show you, all right? I'm just going to update, all right? Brilliant to get you involved in all these activities, all right? Padlet, I'll tell you in a minute, but I'm just going to show you a little trick here. When I do a Padlet, often what I do at the end, okay, so I've got this one here, and you've put some great comments up. What I often do at the end is I double click on the screen, and then I record a summary of all the key points that people have made, so that the students can always listen to the summary. So I don't have to individually report back to every single student, but rather I do a summary of the best points. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to click on audio recording, and I'm going to use my microphone from my webcam. I'm going to click here. Great, guys, really good today. Thank you for your contributions. Just want to make the point. The point about the flexibility of being able to learn anywhere is absolutely key. A second point that you've made, which is really valid, is about the fact that we can use apps. And it's a good idea to remember that these apps can often be apps that are not even connected to the internet. That gives us even more flexibility. Number 3, a lot of you have spoke about the idea that we can use mobiles both in the class and outside of the class, and that's another really good point. Bloody blah. All right, so I could then save and play that back. Now let me just make sure that you can hear the audio. So I'm just going to click, yeah, you can, brilliant. All right, so I'm going to just play that back a minute. Great, guys, really good today. Thank you for your contributions. Just want to make the point. So now I would click on save, all right? And now we've got like a summary recording. Normally I actually give it a title, Russell Summary, I call it, yeah? So I just write this there. And that's a really nice way of working, and I do this a lot. So because I teach online a lot, I can't always give feedback on every forum, so often what I'll do is I'll read the forum posts and then just record an audio recording of me. And if on Padlet, it makes it really easy because you've got audio as an option, okay? Now I often use Padlet as well to get students to record themselves speaking. So it's a good for speaking activities. So it's great for the flipped classroom, and we'll talk more about that in the second part of the lesson. Now, one thing people always say to me, "Oh, Russell, Padlet's not free." Well, you've got it free at King's. I know that because I've been training a lot of the teachers to use it, and we've got access to it at King's. But also, if you only use the free tool, what you can do you can't do it with the audio files, but if you've got images and text, etc., is what you can do is just click on share and come down and save the Padlet as an image. So you've got a copy of it, and then just delete that one, and then you can make another free one. Now, another trick that you can do as well, if I just come back to the home page of Padlet, all right, is that you can always archive your Padlets, and you're allowed to archive, I think, up to 8. So you've got 8 free ones, free, or 8 that you can archive, 3 that you can save online anyway for free. And then what you can do is print or save the Padlets as an image, and then you can delete that Padlet and then use it again for free. So you don't have to have a paid account. If you're clever and you really know how Padlet works, then you can use it for free. Right, guys, let me just jump in. I'm going to stop sharing a minute. Anyone got any comments before I carry on? Okay, is it? Am I going in the right? Is that okay? Are you all following me? Let me just say yes or no. Are you following me? Am I speaking too quickly or too slowly? Okay, I'm sure this isn't the style that Clyde uses. I didn't want it to be like an academic lecture. I don't come from that angle. Okay, as I said. So, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like working at university and I like reading academic papers, but I'm a teacher trainer. That's what I do. All right. So this what I'm showing you, for example, I've showed this to many of the teachers at King's College University. I've been training them to use Padlet and to use Keats, etc. Okay, guys, let's come back again. All right. So I'm throwing out technologies, but I'm also thinking about ideas. I'm going to just talk a little bit about mobiles. All right. So when we're working with mobiles, and there are quite a few points to make about them, the key thing is this whole idea about flexibility, about them being able to use both in the class or outside of the class, and the point that you can use them at any time. All right, that really is important, and I've kind of included that all in flexibility. So they're convenient and they're flexible. Now, another thing, and I've used the word no frontiers. That's another way to think about it. There isn't the frontier of the classroom or homework. They can be used in all examples. Now, access as well, very important point. All right, now, there are many points we can make about them. Access is really important. There are still many countries in the world and many contexts in which people do not have access to a computer or a desktop, and so that the internet via their mobile may be the only way for them to access content. And that happens to me. I have people follow my site in sub-Saharan Africa, for example, and I do have some people even in Cuba that are in contact with me. Okay, so their access is often limited to the fact that they've got a mobile phone. Now, one thing as well about the technologies is that they tend to be very specific, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. In other words, we don't use mobiles for learning everything. We don't use them in the same way that we would a computer. And it's really important to get this point, okay? Mobiles are about specific learning activities. It might be studying some vocabulary. It might be listening to a video. It might be recording some audio, but it tends to be very specific. It's very frustrating, for example, if a student tries to access their whole online course using a mobile. And I've run many courses where students have tried to do that, and it's really hard work. Really, in that context, you want to have a desktop, you want to be writing on a keyboard, you need good big screen sizes, you may even want to, so mobiles, when they work best is when we're using them for very specific types of activities. And some of those activities might be accessing video content. So, for example, listen to a video on YouTube, listening to audio, okay, studying vocabulary, recording yourself speaking. It's no good for writing, for example, okay? It's no good when you've got to really engage with the site and there's lots of things to click on, or where, for example, there are lots of buttons and therefore there's a problem with screen size. So we tend to use mobiles, or we encourage students to use mobiles in their learning, often for homework, and often for very specific things. And for me as well, and I could add this onto this list actually, we're often using mobiles as a way of encouraging our students to become more autonomous. So I currently study Polish, and I use my mobile loads for audio. So I have various podcasts that I'm subscribed to. And I can even download those podcasts so that I can be listening to Polish when I'm on the train or on the bus or even on the car and I put my earphones on, which I do all the time. I can access specific video content. So those are a couple of video sites that I make a lot of use of. One, for example, is called Easy Polish, which is absolutely brilliant because it has the audio files as interviews, but it also has the subtitles. Or studying vocabulary. So I use Quizlet, and I have Quizlet on my mobile. And recording, because I like to record myself speaking in Polish and practicing my speaking. Now, I thought I'd show you a couple of, or I'm going to just show you one thing about one specific idea, okay, that I do in Polish around mobile technologies, okay? And again, I'm hoping that maybe you might not know this. So we're going to quickly now do a activity where we're going to quickly look at Google Translate, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do. Now, I speak Spanish and French. I even actually studied Chinese for a while, and now I'm studying Polish. And I'm not very good at Polish. I'm about an A2 level, I guess, now. But I use my mobile a lot, and I want to just show you how I do that. And again, what I'm thinking about, one of the key things I think I'm saying here, and I didn't really put it in the list there, I really should have, so I'm going to just actually change this and add it, and that we are often talking about autonomous learning, okay? That is really a key part. In other words, one of the things that we want to do with mobiles is train our students to be able to do certain things on their own, so they can study Quizlet and use Quizlet. They know really good video content that they can access. They are aware of some podcasts that are useful. And this is what I would do with my students. I would be training them in specific things, including how to record themselves speaking. Now, I'm going to jump over and just show you something quite interesting. So if I just jump over to Google, and I'm going to come over to Google Translate, and I'm going to show you something that's really useful. When you learn, and I'm going to put this to English and Polish, okay? So when I learn, and this is an example of what I do. If I'm, say, learning, I'm reading a reader in Polish, okay? And I'm trying to, trying to improve my reading skills. And I said I'm only A1, A2 level. And let's say I've come across a word in Polish that I don't understand. So the first thing I do is I write that word in. I'm just going to do a really simple one. I'm going to write the word trudne, okay? Trudne. And it tells me that that word means hard in English. Now, what I do now is I jump over, so I switch it, and now I write a really simple sentence in English. I write the sentence in English. Obviously, it's the Polish I want to study in English, and I write a sentence like, for example, learning Polish or studying, so learning Polish.
Sorry, Russell, we can't see the right page.
Oh, well done, guys. Thank you. All right, stop sharing. So why is that not coming up? Let me just check. Thank you. Brilliant. You're a star. Well done. Okay. That should have been coming up. So, right. Okay. Guys, I'll go through that again. All right. No problem. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. So, I'm looking at Google Translate. All right. So, I'm going to go back over what I was doing. So, first of all, I'm on Google Translate, and I've been reading a book in Polish, very simple book, and I've come across this word, trudny. Okay. And it's the word, I write trudny in, and I see that word means hard in English. So I think, okay, now I want to learn the word trudny. I don't know this word. So what I do now is I switch over so that I've got English first. Okay, sometimes that happens as well. It changes slightly the word, but I don't worry about that. You'll see in a minute that the right one will come back. And now I'm going to write the sentence, a simple sentence, so that I'm going to say, learning Polish is very hard. Okay. Now, what that means is now that I've got the sentence in Polish, okay, and I can listen to that.
Nauka języka polskiego jest bardzo trudna.
Nauka języka polskiego jest bardzo trudna. Okay? Now, this is the interesting part. I can now click and add that to the list of sentences that I'm learning. Now, what I normally do, actually, if I just click it, I'll just check. But you'll see, I normally put the Polish first and then the English afterwards, okay? So if I click here, I'll just click that, and then I'm going to add that to my list, okay? So you'll see that I've got this list here of sentences in Polish, and then with the underneath the English version. Now, this is the clever part. Okay, sometimes I do put in word on its own, but I never use them when I'm going to study them, all right? Sometimes just for reference, I put the word in there, but I'm going to get rid of that one. But you'll see, normally, I never do a single word. Now, this is the special thing. I can now click on import these words, all right, and it's going to add these to a Google Sheet. So all of those words, all those sentences that I was referencing, I click on import data, and it's going to make a sheet. And now I've got the words in Polish and in English. Okay, I'm just going to pull that out so that you can see it really clearly. Okay. Okay. I'm going to just delete those ones at the bottom there because I was kind of rushing and I didn't check to see that actually I'd done those ones the wrong way around. I'd done English to Polish. I only want them all to be from Polish on one side, English on the other. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy those words. So all I've done is I've used Google Translate to keep a record of the sentences that I want to study. I've then saved them into Google Sheets, and I'm now going to copy that list. Simple as that. I'm going to jump over now to Quizlet. So Quizlet is probably one of the most popular technologies for learning languages on the internet. Okay, and you'll see that I use it all the time. I'm going to click on Create. I'm going to click on Create a Study Set. And all I need to do now is I'm going to call this New Study Set. And what I normally do is I put the date. So I'm going to put 18th of May. And then I'm just going to click on Import. And I'm going to paste in, simply paste in all of those sentences, and automatically the sentences are created for me. Okay, so I click on import now, and I've now got a set of sentences with the Polish on one side and then the English on the other. Okay, and now the brilliant thing about that is I can click on create, and now I can start studying. Click on create, and I can now start studying those sentences. Okay, I can share them with my students if I was working with a class of students. Now I train my students to do this. So now let's play one of the games. When you make a set of cards in Quizlet, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different games. Now not all of the games work well when you use sentences, but if I clicked here, you can see if I start with flashcards, and when I work with flashcards, okay, what I do is I click on options, and I normally set it so that the audio is on. And in the advanced features, what I want to do is I start by answering in English. I don't need the English audio, so I turn it off, but I put the Polish audio on. Now I can study this
Nauka
vocabulary.
języka polskiego jest bardzo trudna.
Now, first of all, what I do is I translate. Now, some of you might not like translation. You say, "Oh, Russell, I don't agree with translation," because don't forget, I've been teaching for 30 years, and when I was first teaching longer than that, we were encouraged not to use translation. And I don't use translation in my classes, of course. But if I'm studying on my own, it's really useful for me, yeah? So here I've got nauka języka polskiego jest bardzo trudna. So basically, that's saying the Polish language is very difficult. I can then check. Very good. I'm going to move on to the next sentence. Now I'm hearing the language. I'm reading the language, but I'm learning the words in context. I'm not learning the word trudny in isolation. I'm learning it in a sentence. Now the brilliant thing is I have the Quizlet app on my telephone. So anytime I'm on a train or on a bus or got 5 minutes free, I can just open up and study these words. Okay, so I'll move on to the next one.
Siedział na ławce.
Okay, and then I can click on the other side and get the English one.
Wiedziała tylko, że to gdzieś w dzielnicy Kazimierz.
Okay, and I can just click over and check what it means. All right, and this is the way that I study. So one of the key things that I'm talking about mobile technologies is that us as teachers, we do need to learn this stuff. There are some things technically that we need to learn because we need to pass these skills over to our students. It's very easy to say, oh yeah, students can use their mobiles for learning English, but they don't know what to do. We have to give them the specific ideas, particularly at low levels. As they get as they become more confident, and we talk about autonomy in terms of them making more and more of their own choices about what they do and how they learn, fine. But particularly at lower levels, it's really, really useful for students to know how they can use these technologies to study languages. Okay, and Quizlet is the Quizlet technology is brilliant when it comes to students. To students for studying vocabulary. I'm going to stop sharing, guys, and come back. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, good. Nice to hear that you're saying that this made a comeback. So you obviously right up on it. It has made a big comeback. I mean, I get invited. I mean, I do lots of presentations at conferences. Obviously, not in the last year. I haven't done any. I've done them all online. But you know, often I go and listen to other people talking. When I go to these conferences, I like to listen to what other people are talking about, and that's a really big thing at the moment. The role that translation can play. I don't want to overemphasize translation. I'm still a great fan of when I'm in a classroom with my students. I like to make as much use of the L1 as possible, and if you're in a multilingual context, you've got no choice anyway. But certainly when students are working on their own, the option to be able to use technology and to be able to make use of translation as part of that, I think is really, really powerful. All right. Yeah, I'm glad that some of you are saying that you didn't know that you could do that. Okay. Yeah, good point, Julie, about the correction. About obviously it does depend, Julie, on the language. But I'm not making out that this is 100%. But Julie, what you have to think about really importantly is the odd mistake against the huge productive opportunities that this gives you. Is it worth taking the risk? Now, my wife checks my Polish. And she checks the translation. She says to me, Russell, 99% of the time they're really good. They're not always perfect, but in terms of your learning, your exposure to the language, your ability to listen and to hear the words in context, it's well worth the fact that every so often you might learn a sentence that actually isn't perfect. Okay, but obviously Google is pulling from the huge database of language that they've got access to, and so actually it's becoming more and more accurate. Okay, I'm just suggesting to you, or the key point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that it's easy for you guys to say to me, yeah, mobile technologies are great for students' autonomy. Brilliant. Yeah, that's true. What are you going to do? How are you going to guide them to it? Okay, that's the key point to make here. It's specific activities, and it's actually about linking that into the class. So I spend time, I did, because I don't do this anymore. I only do teacher training now, but I taught right up until 2006 when I was at Warwick University. I was still teaching English. Okay, and it's really important that we give students specific ideas that they can use. And so I was just showing you an idea about what you could do. Okay, your points are really valid, guys. Brilliant points, absolutely fair. And obviously I'm definitely not suggesting that if you don't feel comfortable with the idea of translation that you do it. It's just something that I think, yeah, and maybe not for you in the classroom so much, though I agree with the point I think Andrew made that it's having a comeback. But I do think it's really useful for students outside of the lesson. Right, guys, I've got one last thing I want to do before we take a break, and I was told I was allowed to give you a break, and I'm never going to get through all the activities I want to show you today. I'll do my best, all right? We're going to do one final activity, okay? And again, we'll make it a bit of fun and blah, 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 all right? So let me just jump back onto my screen. I'll come back. Thank you for all. I think there's a question. Someone, Joanna says, I think there's a question. What was the question? Sorry. I can't, I've only got a limited screen space here. I can't see. Can anyone see? Is anyone called? How could, no. I didn't know what you could do that. What was the question? Sorry.
Got my hands up. But
right. Okay. Is that the method? Sorry. I don't know what method you use. Right. Okay. Lovely. Go on then.
Thank you,
what's your question?
For sharing. I have a question about the Quizlet. It's very fantastic. You can export the Google Translation to Quizlet. But I'm wondering if you are having a class with 15 students and you've created a set of flashcards, what kind of activity or what kind of instruction will you give the students to do at class with this set of flashcards?
Right, actually, it's a really good question. I don't want to spend too long on it. I'll tell you couple of things. Number one, obviously, if I was teaching a monolingual class, well, there wouldn't be a problem with the translation. Then they would sort them out. I'm not suggesting, number one thing, I'm not suggesting that I would actually use Quizlet in terms of the use of mobile technologies in my lessons. I'm very much suggesting that I'm going to teach my students about Quizlet and about Google Translate and teach them to use it so they can get on and become more independent.
Oh, that makes
sense.
So
that's the first thing. And that's a point I'm trying to make here, okay? It's very easy because mobile technologies are really about autonomous learning. That's a key part that they play, all right? So this is a really good question, all right? No, please hear. Now, number 2, there are things you can do. And a couple of them, I'm just going to really show you this very quickly, guys. Just going to jump back and just show you one of the things I have done a little bit with my students in class, just to show you. Now, hopefully I can do this super quick. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to come back onto that activity, and I'm going to go back here, and I think I can do it here. I'm going to edit that list. This is a lovely little trick that you might want to think about. And I'll do it with this example here. What I do is I don't do a translation. I actually copy the same sentence on both sides, and you can do this, okay? So I'm going to copy that sentence. Sorry a minute. Let me just click it here. Copy that sentence on the other side. And then what I do is I delete, I only have the first word and the last word. I'll do one more with you. I'm going to delete that one there. I'm going to copy that whole sentence. And I'm going to click over here, and I'm going to delete all the words in between. And then I'm going to just put a gap like this. This is a little technique that I use, okay, if you haven't got a monolingual class. Okay, so you do that all in English, all right? Now, I'm going to play the game. And what I've now got is that I've got, first of all, I can hear the sentence in Polish.
Wiedziała tylko, że to gdzieś w dzielnicy.
Let me go back to the ones I did, so I have to go back to the beginning. There.
Wiedziała tylko, że to siedział na nauka języka polskiego jest bardzo trudna.
Okay, so I've got nauka języka polskiego jest bardzo trudna, and then I click over and I try and got to say the sentence again. Nauka języka jest bardzo trudna. Let me check if I got
Nauka
it right.
języka polskiego jest bardzo trudna.
I got it wrong. Nauka języka polskiego jest bardzo trudna. Okay, lovely technique. That's the sort of thing that you could again be teaching your students to do. So Quizlet in the classroom, no, classroom, you know, outside the classroom. And it's makes another key point. I think I don't know if Clyde mentions this, but it's certainly my theory. I'm not a big fan of using technology in the classroom. You know. It's outside of the class. It's what the students can do for homework. Yeah, of course I use YouTube videos, and I sometimes do a few activities, the one that I'm going to show you in a minute. But really what I do with technology, with mobile phones and with technology generally, is it's what my students can do outside of the lesson. It's about independent learning. You don't learn a language in the classroom. You learn a language with all the homework you do and all the extra things that you might do outside of the classroom, make friends with other students, etc. Okay, lovely question that you asked me there. Hope that was a nice idea. I use that technique quite a lot. It's quite a nice little technique to do. Okay, again, it's being creative with these technologies, which I guess brings up another point. The reason you can be creative with these technologies is when you learn them really well. So one of the things I always notice about teachers generally, particularly the younger teachers, is that they often know loads and loads of technologies, but they only know them a little bit. Over the years, what I've begun to realize about my use of technology is that you get creative when you know the technology well. So I tend to focus on less technologies, but really think about how I'm going to use them. All right, guys. Lovely questions, guys. Sorry, I didn't realise when you put your hand up is that was the technique that you use. Yeah, you have to apologise. I'm obviously not normally your teacher, so lovely question. All right, guys. Let's move on. Last bit now, because I want to give you a break, and I've got so much to get through, and I want to make this as much fun as possible. So the other thing that comes up with mobile technologies, and let me just jump on here, is that people, we talk about, there are particularly two activities that we use a lot, and that's Socrative and Kahoot in the class, because they are nice for formative assessment. They're nice because they change the focus. They're nice as well, technologies, because we or other technologies like making use of the QR readers can add movement. Two very popular technologies that I always see in the class are Socrative and Kahoot. So when I observe lessons, I see lots of teachers using them, and I even train teachers to use Kahoot online. Now, one technology that people don't use is this one, Quizizz. Quizizz is fabulous, and I thought we'd just finish the first part of today's session before we take a break looking at Quizizz, okay? This is an alternative to Kahoot, and it's got actually one benefit over Kahoot. When you work with Kahoot, you have to project the questions onto the screen, and then the students answer the questions on their mobiles. With Quizizz, everything is on the one screen. The teacher doesn't have to project anything, and it actually means that the teacher sees a completely different screen because the students are just working through the activity on their mobile phones, and it tracks everything that you do. So I thought for a bit of fun, I'll do a quizzes activity with you. So we're going to jump over and quickly look at quizzes, okay? So I'm just going to jump. What I'm going to need to do is just open another browser. Just give me 1 second. Okay. This tool is completely free. I don't actually even know where the limits are. I just keep using this technology, and it is just a brilliant alternative to working with Kahoot. Or hopefully now, if I just refresh, do a new share. One second. Hopefully now, yeah, there it is. All right, so quizzes is a brilliant alternative. One of the nice things about quizzes is you can click on Explore and you can search for stuff. So let's say I want to learn, I don't know, vocabulary. English, let's say English vocabulary in the class. English vocabulary food. Let's just do that for some, just to quickly show you. And then you're going to get hundreds and hundreds of activities that you can access. And you can see that we can have pictures, we can have video in the questions, and we can basically find an activity that we like. As we roll over, we see the activity here on the right hand side. And then if there's any that we like, we can copy it and then we can use it. Now, again, you're going to have to spend a little bit of time on your own looking at this technology. Again, this was another one that when I kind of discovered it and started working with it, and I sent it out on my newsletter. I have a newsletter with about 7,000, 8,000 people on it at the moment. And those people got back to me and said, "Oh, Russell, this is fabulous and it's free and you can use video in it and it's really like the way it works and it tracks the students." So I thought I'd do a quick activity with you. So I'm going to click on my library and just watch this. And I've got a really simple one here called Russell's Internet Facts, and we're going to use that. It's only been played 782 times. As you can see, I don't use it very much, and so I'm going to click on this. This is really easy, guys. Now notice this, and we'll talk about this more in the second part. We can do it live, or we can do it as homework. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a live one. So I click on here. I'm going to choose classic. I'm not going to change anything actually. I'm just going to go with that. I'm going to click on continue. Now all I need you to do, I'll send you the link, is I'll paste this link in share this link with you in a minute, and I want you to go on, and when you go onto this link, and let me quickly show you what it looks like when you go onto it. If I just do it here, I should be able to just paste in. You might even be able to show you. Let me have a quick look. Yeah, you just basically going to paste the number in here. Okay, so I'm going to give you. So all I want you to do is, and I'm going to quickly write the number down so that I don't forget it, and then I'll pass it to you. The number is 120707. So guys, you don't have to do this on your mobiles. You can do this on your computers. Let me just stop sharing. I'll paste that link in, guys. Just click on that link. Okay, and just put the number in. I can already hear some of you are super clever and you're already logged in. Brilliant. What a dream class. God, if I had students like you all the time, I would be delighted, yeah? 707. I think that was right. Let me just make sure I did get the right one. 120707, all right? I'm just going to ask you to quickly join me, okay? Click on join my quiz, and then just put the number 120707 and you will join the session. Now, the brilliant thing about this technology, it's free. There's masses of material. This is brilliant, obviously, in the class. All right. It can be done for homework, though. So it's great on a mobile. And really, it's about the glue that connects the lesson, and I'll talk about this in the second part of today's session. All right, so this is an alternative to Socrative or to Kahoot. It's free, it allows video. I've done it really simple. The one I've done for you guys is really simple, but one of the things I love about this is what it tracks about the students. Okay, it tracks everything that you're doing, so I can sit there and see who's working, who's getting the students right, get the answers right and wrong, etc. Okay, let me just screen share so we can see how many of you are logged in, and already I can see, if I click on here, that we've got 16 of you are already logged in. I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes before we start. Okay, it's got really funky music, this site as well. Okay, When we come back after the break, we will spend a little bit of time just settling down all the points I'm trying to make here, okay? Because it's not just about the tools, it's about the way you use them. The way I would use this technology often is, I've asked you to read an article at home, I've asked you to watch a video at home, I've asked you to do an activity at home, and or like read something or listen to something or watch a video. And then in the class, at the beginning of the lesson, I use Quizlet to check your understanding. So I actually use Quizlet Quizzes, Quizzes.com in the class. It's the glue that connects the lesson that you've done or the homework that you've done and what you're going to do in a class. Guys, I'm going to start. There's 18 of you already logged on just because of time, and I realise already that we're running really late. I'm going to click on the button and off goes the activity, okay? And you obviously will be doing it on your computer, so you won't see what I'm seeing, but I will leave it screen sharing. So if you want to curiously just see, well, what's Russell seeing? You'll see that I'm seeing everything that you're doing, and whether you're getting the questions wrong or right, it's tracking everything. Off we go. I can see that W is in first place, the British guy is in second place, Patrick's in third place. Patrick's moved into first place now on 6,460 points, 7 questions correct. Then we got the British guy and Patrick in first and second place. Andrew's down in fourth place, and W is in third place. It's tracking everything. I can see the average accuracy of the class is 69%. I can even go to the specific questions. I can see the question 1, 4 of you got it correct, or 6 of you got it correct, 4 incorrect so far. So it updates everything for me, okay? I just get complete detail about what you've been doing as a class, how many questions you're getting wrong, how many questions you're getting right, etc. Okay guys, I'm going to give you 1 more minute to finish, so try and get your answers in as quick as you possibly can, okay? Most of you are getting near to the end. There's a few of you that are way behind. Don't worry about getting the questions right, guys. It's not about getting the questions right, it's just about doing the activity, really, okay? And just getting a feeling for it. Give you a couple more minutes. And I'll have to stop because otherwise we're going to be running out of time. Finished, look at what I'm screen sharing, and you can see that I can see everyone on the screen as they move up and down, who's finished their questions, who hasn't, etc. Okay? Okay guys, I'm going to end the session now, so I'm going to click on end. Sorry if you didn't get time to finish. Obviously that isn't the point. The point was to demonstrate the technology to you. Okay, so I'm going to click on end the activity. Okay, activity's now done. Hopefully you're looking at my screen again, and it's now going to give me a complete breakdown, and it even goes through every question. So this is brilliant for formative study, okay, because it tells me exactly what I might need to teach again, what students are having problems with, okay? So obviously I made this a little bit tricky because I did questions about internet and internet technology, but it helps me to see, right, okay, I need to teach this again, because people don't realize how search engines work. For example, most people think that it searches the whole web. It doesn't. It has a spider. It indexes websites, and then it shares those index ones. Brilliant information for me, okay? And I get an overview where it goes through the questions, and I can see what questions people are getting wrong, or I can just do it from here. I get this information about specific questions. I can see, right, 7 got that incorrect, so obviously I need to teach that again. Lovely website. Now, one thing is, remember this word, these websites, it's about the glue. It's about connecting the lesson together. So, sorry, Joanna. In the last activity, someone was complaining it was too easy, so I'm glad that was the one that was a bit more difficult. Okay, I forgot what I was going to say now. That was it. Look, you've got to think about what you're going to do in class. It's not, oh, let's have 5 minutes fun on the technology. No, it's you've read an article at home for this week, or I asked you to watch a video for this week, or I asked you to read to listen to an audio podcast, and now I'm checking in the class. Did you understand? So I've got a specific reason why I'm using the technology. I want to check your understanding. Now I can use this same activity for homework. I can just share the link, and the students can do it for homework, and I can go online and it will show me who's done the activity and what they got, etc. And if I get you to all log in as a class, it would track you even, specifically with your email address and your name. That depends. Really, I'm not too bothered if you use the name W or something when you do this activity, because I'm not looking at the individual student. I want to get a picture of how much you understand and what I need to teach again. All right? So it's a lovely technology. But don't forget that. I get so many teachers when I'm watching them. Oh, well, why did you use mobile? Oh, well, it was the end of the lesson, or it was a bit of fun. We've only got 2 hours a week with them. Yeah, we want it to be fun, but we also want there to be a pedagogic reason why we're using it. Checking understanding. At the end of, say, you've been teaching a module of a unit. Yeah, that might be a unit of a course book. That might be a good time to do an activity. Yeah, but you can do this in class. Guys, are we on the right track? Is this useful? Can I just get a little bit of feedback? You've been asking some great questions. Just either put your hand up or just let me know. Just want to make sure I'm on the right thing. I've got videos for everything that I'm showing you today. All right, so I've got some support material all ready for you afterwards. All right, should we take a 5-minute break? Okay, or let's make it 10 minutes, because I'm going to need to rest my voice. But I've got loads more to show you. I won't be able to get through everything, but I'll try my best to get through as much material as I can, all right? But everything that I'm going to show you today, there are videos where I have recorded myself showing you how to use the technology, and I will tell you a little bit about those videos right at the end of the session, guys, okay? Thank you for being so interactive, and thank you for the lovely comments, because it seems like this is quite useful to you. I know it's a bit different to the way that you would normally do a kind of academic master's degree course, but I thought, well, I'm the guest speaker, so I can come in and kind of do what I want, and so I thought I'd make it a really practical, hands-on session. Guys, I'll see you in 10 minutes. 5-2, let's start again, okay? And I'll keep going with the same idea that I'll keep making everything as practical as possible. Okay, so if we come back onto that activity, what I would do now is I go to my results. I would come down to that lesson, to that activity. Okay, I could have done this for homework, or I could have done this in class. And then I'll look and I'll see, right, there's some problems here. I need to teach question 7 again. I need to teach question 6 again. I need to teach question 3 again. The students don't know the answers, so I need to go back over what is the Hagia Sophia. I need to go back over what is the Burj Khalifa. And I need to go back over what is the Sagrada Familia. So this is how, obviously the content could be completely different, but this is what we call formative assessment. I don't need to know individually what the students got. I need to know where the class are still not understanding me, and where I might need to go back so they didn't understand the video that I asked them to watch at home, or they didn't understand the lecture that I gave in the class today. So that's what it's being used for. Okay.
But after the second time,
no, I wouldn't probably go back and ask them to do the activity again. No, I would come in. I would come in myself and highlight. No, because you created the gap. You've created an identification of the problems. Now I would deal with those problems. Might do another activity, of a different activity based around based around those buildings. Obviously, it depends on what the content of the original video or article. For example, when you saw that one that I did earlier with you, that one about on quizzes about internet browsers and about search, about internet security. Originally, that was linked to an article. My students read an article about internet security for homework, and then in the quizzes activity, I was checking their understanding. Now, I wouldn't go back and ask them to do the quizzes activity again. No, I would teach them some of the problems they have and go back over them, say, look, you don't understand what a search engine is, and then I'd probably give them another activity to do. I wouldn't repeat the same activity again myself. There wouldn't be anything wrong with doing that, but it wouldn't be my way of working. Okay? Guys, we're running out of time, okay? Which is a bit of a shame. And I want to finish by doing a kind of final activity. I'm just going to jump back onto this flipped classroom kind of idea that we've been talking about. So the key point is flipped classroom and blended learning are exactly the same thing. They're about how we mix technology with face-to-face or live online sessions. I mean, nowadays the flipped classroom's even being used in fully online. Students do some work at home and then they meet in the Zoom session on with the teacher. But the idea is that we're moving from lower order thinking skills to higher order thinking skills. And what I'm saying to you is that some activities fit really well into this part here, just understanding. And those are things where we're checking understanding. So Wordwall is perfect for that. Quizzes is perfect for that. Other activities are more interesting because they kind of get our students to start to apply and use the technical knowledge that they've created, that they've learned, so the new things they've learned. And those type of activities are going to be more group work based activities, more collaborative activities, more getting the students work together that often you would do in the class. Okay, now I haven't got time to spend that much time today on those higher order thinking activities. I've really just discussed more what we might do at the beginning. So how we would get the students to access some content at home, and then how we would check their understanding. What's really important as well is to think about, well, what are you going to do afterwards? How are you then going to get them to apply and analyze and evaluate what they've learned? And in language teaching and language learning, that's all about using the language. It's all about getting them to speak and getting them to write and getting them to collaborate and share things. It's about actually working with the basic ideas. So if you've taught them, for example, how to write an introductory paragraph in a discursive essay, then afterwards, and you've checked that they understand the basic principles, you then do activities that get them to actually work with discursive essays and discuss which one's a good one and which one's a bad one, etc. You're moving from lower order to higher order. Okay, I'm going to finish with one final activity. We're going to use another great website that's called Mentimeter. One of the reasons why I want to show you this one is because, again, it kind of does this quick checking type of stuff. It's a lot of fun, okay? And another great thing about this technology is it's completely free, okay? You can use it as many times as you like. I'm going to click on your presentations, and again you'll see masses of, I'm always using this in my teaching and learning. I'm going to just do a silly activity to finish our day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on new presentation, and I'm going to say, question's going to be, what did you like best? Okay, so we looked at a number of technologies today. This was a bit rushed. I wished I had more time with you to spend more time. Notice with Mentimeter, you've got, look, all these different activities that you can do with your students. Again, you can do this using a mobile, or you can do this, you know, face-to-face in the class. So you could use it, get the students to pull out their mobiles and do it in the lesson, but you could also set this for homework. All right, so we're going to do one called ranking, just for a bit of fun.
Russell?
Yeah.
Could you share a screen,
Yeah,
please?
sorry, God. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going crazy. Whoever's told me that, I apologise. I'm going mad. Right. I'm going to come back. I'm going to do that again. Really sorry. God, it's not like me. I teach people to use Zoom, you know. This is just terrible. Right. Let's go back. So just make it absolutely clear. All right. Going to show you a website called Mentimeter. I'm going to click on new presentation, and we're going to do what was best. All right, just really simple. That's the title of the presentation. Click on create presentation, and you'll notice that you've got loads and loads of different options here. Okay, loads of different options of different activities you can do. Multiple choice, word cloud, that's brilliant. open-ended. It's great. It kind of works a bit like Padlet. Scaling, that's where people have to kind of give a ranking for or scale things in terms of a mark out of 100. Can be really good. We could use that actually, but I'm going to do this one to be a bit more fun. I'm going to do ranking. So I'm going to click on here and I'm just going to say, the question is, what was your favourite technology? Okay. Now, hopefully you didn't just think that today I presented some technologies. I hope I gave you a few ideas about how things connect together. That's a really important thing. How important it is to think about how you're going to help your students to become more autonomous. I did try to bring in a little bit of theory into what I was doing, but I did want to show you lots of technology. So I showed you Google Earth, which I love. I showed you WordWall. We had a nice look at Padlet, okay, and then we looked at we looked at quizzes. Well, we did quite a lot today actually. Looked at quizzes. I'm going to add another one because then finally I've showed you Mentimeter. Now you've not really had a good chance to look at Mentimeter, but this is more or less for fun. Now all I'm going to do, all right, is I don't have to do anything else. This is just a little voting activity. Now this is again a lovely thing to do at the beginning of a lesson. You've asked the students to read something at home or listen to a video, and at the beginning of the lesson you want to check, right guys, just want to put it in order. You know, from the video that we was learning about different technologies, which one would you like best, or from the different characters in the article that we're reading, who would you like to invite to dinner? That kind of thing. You're linking it into the lesson. Again, we're coming back to that flipped classroom idea. But look, notice this. All I need to do is click on share. Simple as that. And then I just copy the link. Now I'm going to quickly show you what this looks like. So if I just jump over onto here, and I'm just make sure that you can see this. Okay, yeah, good. I'm just going to click on new share. I'm just going to show you what you need to do. When you come onto this link, guys, all you need to do is choose. So for example, I'm going to put WordWall first. I'm going to put Google second. I'm going to put quiz. I love all these activities, to be honest with you. I'm going to put Padlet fourth, and I'm going to put Mentimeter last. All right, I love them all, but I've got to put them in some sort of order, and then I'm going to submit my vote. I want you to do the same. I want to get your votes. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to ask you, please screen share. Sorry, Jan. I'm going to put the link in the window. Guys, I want you to now just click and vote. And I'm going to see live, I'm going to screen share, and I'll see live your choices. So I'm going to come back onto that website, and I can see already that people have started voting. I've already got 2 votes, and at the moment Google Earth is top, Quizzes is second, WordWall is third, Padlet is fourth, and Mentimeter is fifth. I'm waiting for more votes. Oh, Quizzes has moved into first place. People seem to like Quizzes. Quizzes now number 1. Google Earth is number 2. Oh, Google Earth is really dropping down now. Google Earth is in third place. WordWall. Oh no, wow, WordWall has moved up to top. No, Quizzes has gone back in front of WordWall. At the moment, we've got Quizzes top, WordWall second, Google Earth third, Padlet fourth, Mentimeter fifth. 10 of you have voted so far. Whoa, WordWall is back in the lead again. And now we've got Padlet has just moved up to third place. Google Earth is dropping down. People don't like Google Earth as much as they do Padlet, Quizzes and WordWall. We've got 15 votes in. I'm waiting for a few more votes from you. 15 votes in. Waiting for a few more votes to get anyone else to vote. 15 people have voted so far. WordWall is the most popular technology. Quizzes is second. 16 votes in. Padlet is third. Google Earth is fourth. Mentimeter is fifth. There's 17 votes. I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes before I end it. Oh, Google Earth has moved up in front of Padlet, and now Google Earth and Padlet are actually equal. They got the same number of votes. No, Google Earth is actually in front. So Google Earth is just slightly in front of. I've got one person left to vote, I think. There's 19 of you voted. Just one more to vote for this final activity. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop it there because we're running out of time. Absolutely brilliant. Lovely. I love that activity because it's really good. Again, a bit of creativity. How could you use that in the class? Could that be the activity that students do after they've watched the video or read the article or listen? Or would that be the first article that the activity you might do in the lesson? Okay, we read an article for homework. It was about 5 different characters who were working, or and I want you to rank the characters in terms of who you like the best to who you like the least. Okay, Okay, I think you are 20. Yeah, there was 20 of you. There was only 19. I didn't have time to see the last vote. Let's jump back and have a quick see who did. If anyone that the last vote, did it come in? It did. Thank you very much. All right. The result was the same. Word wall quizzes, Google Earth, Padlet, Mentimeter. All right. I just stopped because of time, guys. It's already 8 minutes past the time of the lesson. One final thing I did do. Okay, I did do a little handout for you. Okay. Oh, I was number 20. You're right. Sorry. Yeah. Well, no. Yes, you're right. Sorry. You're right. Yeah. I voted though as well. So if you want a special handout, I'm just going to write Russell Handout at Gmail. If you email me this, it will send to you automatically. Russell Handout at gmail.com. Russell Handout at gmail.com. Okay, I'm not sure why that hasn't come up as a link really. Russell Handout at gmail.com. That should have come up as a link really. Right, hasn't. Anyway, Russell Handout at gmail.com. If you email me, automatically I will send you a handout, and in that handout there are all the videos to all of the technologies that I've showed you today. Okay, keep in mind what I'm saying. Link your lessons together. Think about your lower order to higher order. Don't say words like, yeah, mobile technologies can really help students to be autonomous. What are you going to do to help them to become autonomous, right? That's a key thing. You've got to dig in and think about the activities that you could do. How could you introduce technologies in the lesson that can encourage your students to become more autonomous, okay? So we've looked at mobiles, we've looked at flipped, we've talked about the reason why the flipped idea is nice. It's that springboard, that link between homework and the lesson, okay? Good luck with the rest of the course, guys. Great to be doing a course about technology at this moment in time. Super relevant. The future in ELT and technology is incredible. Take it from me. I'm getting masses of consultancy, helping companies develop their latest projects, etc. I hope that was useful. It's always a pleasure to be come in and do a couple of lectures. You know, it's always good fun just to come in and do a session. I hope that was useful to you, and enjoy the rest of the course. Glad we're back to sort of normality, or nearly back to normality. It's lovely to know that many of you are back in London. And say hello to Clyde for me. She's a good friend, and every year she invites me to come to King's College to do normally to do this workshop in person. All right, lovely to see you all, and thank you for the lovely comments that you've been sharing in the window. It's really, really kind. And sorry that I kept forgetting to screen share. I hope you don't mind. I get too excited. All right, cheers, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Turn on your webcams if you want to say goodbye. You're welcome to.